Peace, this is King Noble Black Supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to address young Pharaoh on his attack on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the NOI. Him and Sarah student Seti did a video supposedly exposing Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the NOI by using clips of Malcolm X, Dale Jones, Khallid Muhammad, Dr. Sebi, and etc. It was a very long dissertation. The video I saw, I believe, was almost 4 hours. And supposedly they went in on Minister Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad. The problem I have with their arguments, because it first started off bashing Elijah and Farrakhan based on the death of Malcolm, the death of Khallid, or statements that Farrakhan made or how he presented himself after the death of Khallid and Malcolm. So that, to me, that was the beginning of the video. Let me attack Elijah Muhammad. Let me attack Farrakhan on the strength of Malcolm X. Then by the end of the video, they get to some conspiracy theories dealing with Masonry, about how the Nation of Islam are Masons and not really practicing Islam or whatever. It turned to me into just a bunch of conspiracy theories in the end dealing with Masonry. And I'll just deal with the contradictions in that before I jump into the meat of what I want to talk about, what I have a problem with. They say that the Masons got their knowledge and information from Egypt. So if we get our information back through Masonry, through the Prince Hall Lodge, what you call a clandestine lodge, if we get our information back from the Masons, it's still our information. They got it from us. They tried to say that black Masonry is not legitimate to white Masonry. The black Masons may not be looking for the white man to legitimize their lodge. Who said that we're looking for legitimacy from white people with the ADAP knowledge, with our secrets, with our rituals? Who says that we're looking for legitimization? And why are we still looking for legitimization? And how can we consider ourselves to be black power and black conscious, and we're discrediting an organization because it is considered illegitimate by white supremacists? So that's just weak. If they're practicing some form of black masonry, some craft that's coming from Egypt, more power to them. I hope that they're decoding and dissecting that information in a way that's empowering them. So you can't be mad at them for that. They practice in masonry. It comes from the Masons, but then you say the Masons come from Egypt. So they're just getting their shit back. So that's a weak argument. If Elijah Muhammad took our shit back from the Masons, more power to him. If he took the knowledge from up under the white Masons, and even under the clandestine Masons that still look to white supremacy, if he took it a deep clandestine to even another level, more power to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for trying to give us back our secrets and reveal our knowledge and our ancient information that can help perfect us and empower us as a people. We're just hating for any reason nowadays. Obviously, he did something profound with that information to build something that's powerful with the longevity, with the structure and organization of the NOI. But let me get to the meat of the argument. That's not the meat. That's not the meat. The meat is they're very picky and they want to insert their own narrative. They want to create a Khallid Muhammad that they want, and they want to create a Malcolm X that they want. And so you can't do that. 1 minute you're against Islam, But then you uphold two people that was advocates of Islam to the day that they died. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and Malcolm X, they were Muslims to the day that they died. So you can't be against Islam but claim you're fighting to defend two individuals that's unarguably and unquestionably Islamic. Khalid Muhammad and Malcolm X, they are both Muslims. So that's a problem. But then you go farther and try to make them who and what you want them to be. You claim you're against Farrakhan for what he did to Malcolm. What you say he did to Malcolm, the allegations or the role he played, the agitation or instigation into Malcolm's death. You say you're mad at him about that. You're upset at what happened to Malcolm. But yo, you love Khalid Muhammad. But Khalid Muhammad supported Old Testament Farrakhan. Old Testament Farrakhan was a black nationalist, was about black nation building, and was about defending the black nation and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to all cause. He had loyalty and devotion to black nationalism. Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Old Testament Minister Louis Farrakhan, before L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology and letting Europeans into the nation, and before all that, he was as pro-black as you can possibly get. And Khalid Muhammad respected that pro-black, loyal and devoted minister to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Khalid Muhammad supported that man, defended that man, and what had gave his life for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that means he supported him, knowing his relationship to Malcolm, knowing what went down around Malcolm, and knowing how Farrakhan really felt about Malcolm. Khalid Muhammad still supported and defended the Minister Louis Farrakhan. Khalid was an Old Testament Malcolm fan. He liked the Old Testament Malcolm X, the one who was about black nationalism, about black nation building, the one who was about the Nation of Islam and about loyalty to the black nation, the one that did not become a helper of the FBI, the one that did not become an informant of the FBI. See, Malcolm X became a helper and an informant of the FBI. And I'm about to go in on this. It's going to blow young Pharaoh's mind. Malcolm X helped the government against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, the government knew that they could not take down Elijah Muhammad. He was too powerful. Just like they can't take down Farrakhan. It will create the biggest homeland security threat that you have ever seen in your life if they attempt to take down Elijah Muhammad or take down the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan today. It will be the biggest homeland security threat that you have ever seen, and they are aware of this. So they have to use other tactics when they can't kill you and assassinate you because the security is too tight. So you can't assassinate them. You can't lock them up without causing homegrown terrorism. So what do? You have to defame him. You have to use somebody who can make him look bad, who can character assassinate him, who can make him look bad before the public. And that's how Malcolm X was used. See, everything Malcolm X said about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the FBI would have already known. If Elijah Muhammad was with young girls and getting them, impregnating them, multiple ones, underage girls, that means the FBI knew about these things. And he wasn't locked up or arrested. If they knew that these things were happening, was because they couldn't do anything about it. Because he had become too powerful and it would be too much of a problem on their hands to try to go directly at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So they needed somebody like a Malcolm who could tarnish him at the point where the nation was becoming the most powerful, was becoming the most stronger. They needed to sow seeds of dissension. They needed somebody who would be willing to trade. They needed somebody who would go against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from the inside to help create separation and division. And his son wasn't enough. And Malcolm was the perfect one. If Malcolm was saying everything he said, I said it, now I don't want to take over the Nation of Islam. I don't want to take over the black Muslim movement. Then why are you saying it? If you're not saying it to take over and lead the black Muslim movement in the right direction, then you're saying it to destroy and tear down the black movement, Muslim movement, and to tear down the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's why you would have to be saying it if you're not going to take it over and lead it in the right direction. So Malcolm was used to sow seeds of dissension and to tear down the Nation of Islam and prevent the rise of what would have been one of the most militant organizations, black organizations, ever seen in the world. They had to stop that. It was getting too powerful. The ranks was getting too huge. Too much money, too many resources. So they had to stop that. And they used Malcolm to do it. They used Malcolm to stop it and to create separation and dissension at one of his most strongest points. Here's the problem with Malcolm. He went to the white people's media and talked about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad before the white man. Why would you be sitting before the white man talking about your black leaders? Talking about your black nation? Why are you sitting amongst the devil? Talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on the devil's media, in the devil's face, unless you are working for the devil, unless you're working on behalf of the devil. Now, there's recordings of Malcolm X talking to the FBI. He recorded it where the FBI came to see him. You think that's the only time the FBI came to see Malcolm X? Are you serious? Malcolm X traveled the world. He met different leaders in different countries trying to set up an African Union. You think the FBI only met with him once? And his meeting with the FBI was very cordial, very respectful. He had some type of relationship with the white man, with the devil. Let's keep it real. He loved to be in front of the cameras. He loved to talk to them. He loved to talk to white supremacy and the devil more than he had loyalty, devotion, and integrity to what black nationalism actually looks like. So Malcolm X was used as a secret weapon to destroy the credibility and the strength and the solidarity of the Nation of Islam. And he willingly participated. Some say jealousy, some say envy. Who knows why he participated? It could have been just outright trying to destroy the nation. I don't know. But these are the facts. The FBI used Malcolm. The white media used Malcolm to try to tear down the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he went along with it. Khalid Muhammad did not support that Malcolm X. And that's the Malcolm X that General Seti and young Pharaoh feel sorry for. They feel sorry for that Malcolm X. Khalid Muhammad did not feel sorry for that Malcolm X. And he supported the Farrakhan that had loyalty to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that instigated or created the atmosphere that many say led to Malcolm's death. So if you're going to throw away Old Testament Farrakhan, then you got to throw away Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Because Khalid Abdul Muhammad was a lover of Old Testament Malcolm X to the day he died. He did not like New Testament Malcolm X for everybody. Talking about he's practicing real Islam. Khalid Muhammad didn't like that or support that. Of Malcolm working with white people and getting off his black nationalist platform. Khalid didn't support that. So Khalid wouldn't be with you, young Pharaoh. Khallid wouldn't be you, Sarah student said. Khallid wouldn't be with you on that. So you can't create a false image of Khallid that you want of Khalid Muhammad. You can't. You have to deal with the reality that Khallid was in 100% support of Old Testament Farrakhan to the point of giving his life if it was necessary. That's a fact. Now let's go to the second point with both Khallid. Well, I would just deal with Khallid and I'll deal with Malcolm. I'll just deal with them together. Now, Malcolm, who was kicked out of the nation, which he was angry for that, bitter about that, but he was kicked out of the nation, suspended. And it wasn't until after he was suspended, then he started talking about publicly what may have been going on with the nation, as far as Elijah Muhammad liking young girls and impregnating them. It was after he got kicked out of the nation. So for one, he said he went to Saudi Arabia, to Mecca, to join pure Islam, where in that time we knew child briding was very affluent, that there's no age restriction on marriage in these Arab countries. So I'm sure if he went over there and among those Arabs and practicing true Islam, that they took wives at ages that they felt was sufficient, and he would have to be experienced to that culture in Saudi Arabia, because that's what the true Arab Muslims were doing at that time, and many are doing today. They take wives at whatever age they decide to. If they think the girl is ready and then they want to wife her up, that's what they do in Arabic and Islamic countries. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not make that up. He may have contradicted himself as to the cultural framework that he presented to the Nation of Islam, as far as the moral standards that he presented to the nation, but he did not make up marrying young women. As a matter of fact, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, took Aisha at a young age. So if you against marrying women at a young age, then you have to give up Prophet Muhammad as well. Ibn Abdullah, you have to give up Prophet Muhammad. And that means that Malcolm X would have to give up Islam. He can't just give up Elijah Muhammad if he against marrying, young girls. He have to give up Sunni Islam, which is way more blatant and way more bold in their cultural practices. So he would have to denounce Islam, not just denounce Elijah Muhammad. That wouldn't be a reason to separate from Elijah Muhammad. That would actually be a reason to separate from Islam, other than the fact that Elijah Muhammad may have been contradicting himself with what he was teaching and in what he was doing. Now, if Malcolm X really had such a problem with Elijah Muhammad, if it was so disgusting, so unacceptable for him to have impregnated young women and taken on many wives, why did Malcolm try to get back into the nation? Why did Malcolm beg to get back into the nation? So Malcolm, the one you say you love, the one you say you're fighting for, the one you say you're defending and you representing, begged to be amongst the one you say you hated. He begged to get back into the nation, wrote several letters, was upset. He wanted to get back in the nation. And the most anger he had with Elijah Muhammad is that he was unable to get back into the nation. So if Elijah Muhammad was that bad and that evil, why would Malcolm X want to be ever associated or be upset that he would never be accepted back into the Nation of Islam? He wanted to be back under Elijah Muhammad. The same with Khallid Abdul Muhammad. You say you hate Farrakhan, but Khallid Muhammad wanted to be reaccepted by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He wanted to be accepted by Farrakhan, but he just was trying to push the Old Testament super pro-black ideology that was brought by Elijah Muhammad, that it appeared though Farrakhan was getting away from. And Khallid felt like he was being shut down for really representing the true black radical NOI teachings that was brought by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But he still wanted to be re-accepted back into the Nation of Islam. He wanted to be re-accepted by Farrakhan and was upset and hurt that Farrakhan did not accept him. So how can you hate who the person that you loved? If you love Khallid, then you would have to love Farrakhan. That's the young Pharaoh. And you would have to love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because Khalid Muhammad loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the day he died without waiver. So if you love Khalid, you have to love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You have to love Farrakhan. You can't choose who you want. You're doing what Malcolm did. You love Islam, but you're mad at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because he took it on many wives. He practiced polygamy and took on many young wives, but you love Islam. And that is truly Islamic culture. You can't pick and choose what you want, when you want, and how you want to make somebody. If you love Khallid, you love Old Testament Farrakhan, who stood up for black nationalism in his attack on Malcolm X. He stood up for solidarity, unity, and integrity within the black nation. That was a separate government, an entity within itself that wanted to manage its own affairs as an independent nation. Khallid defended that man, Farrakhan. He defended Old Testament Farrakhan and supported that. And Khallid himself didn't like what Malcolm did when it came to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Just a fact. I just want to drop that on you. Just meditate on that. Sit back on that. You all are painting your own picture without not dealing with the totality of what these individuals represented in the chronology, in the right sequential order. You creating your own order, and you being anti-Islam, but you upholding people. Khalid Muhammad that was pro-Islamic. You upholding Malcolm that was pro-Islamic. It's a contradiction. And all these type of contradictions that we see within all of them, Malcolm X, Elijah, young Pharaoh, Seti, Khalid Muhammad, all the contradictions that we see in all of them, and why those contradictions create such a volatile situation and create so much dissension is because of black self-hate. Because we're always looking for contradictions to distract us. We're always looking for a reason not to accept and love our great and appreciate our own, to accept our own and be ourselves. We're always looking for a reason to do that. That's what Malcolm did when following on Elijah, but going under to the Pale Arabs. That's what Khallid did when he left Farrakhan. That's what Malcolm did. You follow what I'm saying? That's what Farrakhan did when he turned his back on his brother, Malcolm X. That's what Muhammad Ali did. We always find a reason for black self-hate, and that is a consistent narrative that I see within all of them. We find a reason why not to love each other based on religion, based on culture, based on practice, based on this ideology. But what she unifies is that we all got the same enemy. We should not look for reasons to separate, differentiate, and disunify. Because that's what they all have in common. They found a reason to disunify in the time of war. And as a black people, we are in the time of war. It's any old reason to hate a nigga. It don't even make sense anymore why we hate each other anymore. Why we hate our leaders, and this leader hates that leader, and this follower hates that leader, and this. It doesn't even make it. It's not based on any logic. It's based on black self-hate and trying to elevate ourselves above one another versus elevating the situation that has put us all into the same boat. We don't want to change the situation. We want to elevate ourselves in the situation above everybody else when we're all in the same boat. We're all in the hells and smells of North America under this devil, this pack of wood, under white supremacy. This King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleuncensored.com. Donate and don't hate.